Let me take you all back to the beginning. I'm talking about the time before the bright lights, before the cameras, before anyone even knew my name. See, every dream, no matter how big, starts off quiet. It starts off small. Mine started in a little room in the Bronx. No spotlight, just a spark. You ever feel that little tug in your spirit that says, there's something more for me? It's not loud. It doesn't shout. It's a whisper. But that whisper, that's the fire inside. When I first thought about acting, I wasn't thinking about fame. I was thinking about expression, about purpose, about something that made me feel alive in a world that too often felt cold. And when I stepped on that stage for the first time, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was terrified, hands shaking, heart pounding so loud I thought they could hear it in the back row. But something happened. I opened my mouth and I felt something shift. I felt the fire start to flicker. Now that fire didn't turn into an inferno overnight. There were days, years where it barely stayed lit. I worked jobs I didn't want. I took roles I wasn't proud of. I waited tables, I answered phones. I got told no. So many times, I thought maybe the dream had an expiration date. But every time I thought about quitting, I remembered that fire. That thing inside me that refused to die. People love to celebrate the success, the awards, the applause. But what they don't see, what they don't understand, is that the real battle is keeping the fire lit when no one else sees the flame. When you're tired, when the phone's not ringing, when your own reflection is asking, "Are you sure?" Let me tell you something. Nobody can fan your flame for you. You gotta do that yourself. You gotta protect it like it's sacred, because it is. You feed it with discipline, you protect it with faith. You keep it alive with consistency even when the results ain't showing up yet. That fire, it's your responsibility. Nobody's gonna believe in it more than you. And if you keep tending to it, one day it turns. What was once a flicker becomes a blaze. And suddenly, the same people who doubted you, they're warming themselves by the heat you created. That's the power of not giving up. Not because everything worked out perfectly, but because you refused to let that little fire die. Let me tell you something you might not want to hear. You will fall. No matter how talented you are, no matter how prepared, how focused, at some point, life's gonna knock you flat on your back. But here's the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise. The ones who rise learn how to fall forward. See, the world's got this twisted idea that failure is shameful, that it means you're not good enough, that it's the end of the road. Nah, let me tell you the truth. Failure is part of the process. It's the tuition you pay to grow. There was a time early in my journey when I landed a role I thought was my big break. Thought I'd finally arrived. I rehearsed like my life depended on it. Showed up early, stayed late, gave everything I had to that part. Then one day I got the call, they cut the scene, just like that. No warning, gone. I remember sitting alone after hearing the news, staring at the wall, thinking, man, maybe I'm not built for this. But something inside me said, you can sit in this or you can step through this. And I made a decision. I'd fall, sure, but I'd fall forward. See, every time you fall, every time life pushes you down, you're actually being positioned. Every stumble is a step if you lean the right way. That fall teaches you something a win never could. It teaches you what you're made of. You build resilience not by getting everything you want, but by surviving everything you didn't. And when you learn how to fall forward, when you stop fearing the ground, you become dangerous. Because now, failure isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's your fuel. You start realizing, if I can get back up once, I can get back up again. And each time you do, you come back a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more refined. And eventually that ground that used to break you, it becomes the foundation you build on. Now people look at me and they see the awards, the speeches, the red carpets, but they don't see the scraped knees. They don't see the missed shots, the callbacks I never got. They don't see the times I got up off the floor with tears still in my eyes saying, let's go again. That's falling forward. It's not pretty. It's not easy, but it's powerful. Because when you keep moving, when you learn from the hit instead of hiding from it, failure becomes the very thing that shapes your greatness. So go ahead, fall. Just make sure when you do, you fall forward. You know, people think rejection is a stop sign. Like when someone says no, that's it, game over, dream denied, time to pack it up and move on. But what I've learned, what life taught me, is that every no ain't the end. Sometimes that no is just weight on the bar, something you push against to get stronger. You want to know how many people told me I wasn't right, that I didn't have the look, the sound, the image, the name. I've been told no so many times I could write a book made entirely out of rejection letters. I remember one audition I walked in with everything I had. Heart pounding, suit pressed, monologue memorized like scripture. I gave it all I had. The casting director looked at me, said, "You're not quite what we're looking for," and waved me out like I was invisible. That walk back to the train station felt like it was miles long. Not because of the distance, but because of the weight, the doubt, the silence, that kind of no. Don't echo, it sinks into you. And if you're not careful, you start believing it. You start shrinking your dream down to match their limited vision of you. But here's what I figured out: that no, that rejection, it's not a dead end, it's a redirection. Every no I heard, it shaped me, sharpened me. It taught me to show up even harder the next time. It taught me to validate myself instead of waiting for someone else to do it. It built a kind of quiet strength inside me, the kind that doesn't need applause to keep going. See, people confuse rejection with judgment. They think no means you're not enough, but most of the time, no just means not now. Not this room, not this door, but maybe it's because there's something better waiting, something that actually fits you. Let me tell you, if I had said okay to every rejection, if I had taken every no as truth, you wouldn't be hearing from me right now. Because here's what they don't tell you: sometimes the very people who told you no, they come back later asking how you did it, and you know what you say: "I kept walking. I didn't stop at your no, I used it to build my path." So don't you shrink. Don't you fold. Don't let somebody's small vision of you make you start seeing yourself through a foggy mirror. Every time they say no, you say, "Watch me." Because rejection doesn't break you, it builds you. If you let it, there's a moment in every journey, and I don't care who you are, where everything goes quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. I'm talking about the kind where it feels like the whole world has turned its back. The phone ain't ringing, the doors ain't opening, the people who used to clap for you, now they're nowhere to be found, and you're left with just you. No applause, no spotlight, no promises, just silence. Now let me tell you something. That is where your faith has to speak the loudest. See, it's easy to have faith when the sun is shining, when the checks are coming in, when the road is clear and everyone's telling you, "You got this." But what about when it's dark? When your bank accounts got more dust than dollars? When people you thought were your tribe go quiet? When the vision you had starts to feel more like a burden than a blessing? That's when real faith kicks in. Faith that says, "I don't see it yet, but I believe it's coming." Faith that says, "I don't feel strong right now, but I know I've got strength left in me." Faith that's not based on evidence, but on conviction. Let me tell you, I've been there, sitting alone, questioning if all the work was worth it, asking God, why hasn't it happened yet? Why am I still here? But deep down, beneath the doubt, beneath the noise, there was this quiet voice in my spirit. And it said, "Keep going." And that's what I did. Not because I knew how it would turn out, but because I trusted that something greater was at work, even when I couldn't see it. That kind of faith, it doesn't come from comfort, it's forged in the fire. You gotta carry it with you when no one else understands the dream you're chasing. You gotta lean on it when everything logical tells you to quit. You gotta choose it every single day, even when it doesn't make sense. Because if your faith only lasts when things are easy, it's not faith, it's convenience. Faith is what holds you steady in the storm. Faith is what lifts your head when the weight of waiting tries to drag it down. Faith is what reminds you that just because it's not happening yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. And when the breakthrough finally comes, and it will come, it won't surprise you. Because deep down, you always knew. That's the power of having faith in the fight. Everybody wants to be remembered. Everybody wants their life to mean something, to leave a mark. But legacy isn't just about what you do, it's about who you lift while you're doing it. See, you don't earn a legacy just by being successful. You earn it by being useful, by showing up when it's hard, by standing tall when others are afraid to move, by doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. I've walked through rooms where I wasn't the loudest, the flashiest, the most connected, but I made sure I walked in with substance. And over time, I started to realize something. This whole journey, it ain't just about me. It's about who's watching me. There's always somebody watching you. A kid, a neighbor, a little brother, a sister, someone who hasn't found their voice yet, and they're looking at you, trying to figure out if it's safe to speak. They're studying how you stand, how you recover, how you keep going when life says stop. And one day they'll say, because they didn't quit. I didn't quit. That's legacy. When I was climbing, I wasn't thinking about awards or recognition. I was thinking about the people coming up behind me, the ones who needed to see someone who looked like them, sounded like them, came from where they came from, and still made it. Because if all I ever did was reach the top and keep it to myself, I would have failed. What good is success if it dies with you? That's why I give back, why I speak, why I push people not just to win but to stand for something while they do it. Because someone's watching your life and building their own dream out of your example. You might not even meet them, might not even know their name, but they're there. So how you carry yourself, it matters. What you choose to do when things get hard, it matters. Not just for you, for everyone coming next. The late nights, the quiet battles, the tears no one sees. That's where legacy is forged. Not in the spotlight, but in the struggle. You gotta earn it. With consistency, with integrity, with love. Brick by brick. Scar by scar, you build it. And one day, when it's all said and done, you won't just leave behind a name, you'll leave behind a path. A map for someone else to follow, and that's a life well lived. That's legacy. So now, let me ask you this, what are you gonna do when life pushes you down? Are you gonna fold, or are you gonna rise? Are you gonna let the no-s define you? Or are you gonna turn them into fuel? Because here's the truth. Greatness doesn't shout, it whispers, and it only speaks to the ones who are still listening after the noise has faded. You've got something in you, something sacred, something strong. But strength doesn't show up when things are easy. It shows up when you get knocked down and stand up slower, but stronger. This journey you're on, it ain't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about keeping the fire lit, falling forward, using rejection to rise, standing on faith when there's nothing else left, and knowing your fight is building a future someone else might one day live in. So don't give up. Don't you dare give up. Because when you choose to keep going, when you choose to believe in something even before it shows up, you don't just change your story. You inspire someone else to believe in their own. That's how we rise. That's how we lead. That's how we leave this world better than we found it. One fight, one fall, one step at a time. Keep walking. Your breakthrough is waiting on the other side of almost.